Hey y'all, welcome back to Homestead. I'm outside today. My gardens have been planted. That video is coming out, I promise you guys. It just takes a lot of editing to do all of that. We've had some frost the past couple of nights. So with these little seedlings, I lost some green pea seedlings that I transplanted. That's okay. I'm gonna cover them up this weekend. It's supposed to be 28 as the low, and I'm gonna have to cover those. But otherwise, broccoli, cabbage, kale, all that looks great. Onion sets back there look fine. Radish seedlings that have germinated did great with the frost. I think it was 34 and they did fine. So just FYI. But I want to get on here really quick today, guys, and do a video with you all. As you know, I have done videos on prepping, and I've done Are You Prepared? That's just my own little thing I come up with. Are you prepared? Sometimes in those videos, I talk about food and what I have bought as far as food buys. And I did a video the other day, and I talked about what is really in our food. The more that I'm thinking about this, I just want to get it out there to you guys. I'm changing my opinion, okay? The longer that this goes on, the more I'm starting to see about processed food. We buy processed food, okay? We do. Hey, if you do it, you do it, okay? But the more I'm learning and seeing, the more I am totally becoming against it. The reason being, there's tons of preservatives, there's tons of chemicals, there's tons of all sorts of stuff that goes into food. You know this. I talked about human hair being in bread, a report that I saw. I have no clue if that's true or not. It was on a YouTube video as a filler in bread. I'm learning more and more, and my opinion is changing. So what I'm telling you guys is, if you are prepping, you want to go to the store and you want to buy all this food, okay? Look at the quality of the food you are buying. Now, I've got this right here that I want to show you. I was cleaning out my fridge today, and when I say clean out my fridge, I mean like wiping everything down. My fridge is for nothing but to keep leftovers cold, okay? I don't keep a lot of stuff in my fridge. We don't eat a lot of processed food, but this right here, I took the label off, is applesauce that I bought not too long ago. The expiration is 3/20/25. You know, once you open something, it goes quicker, okay? But a couple weeks ago, I opened this, and I got very sick after I ate it, okay? I was just like GI upset, okay? I want you to see this, what I saw today. Do you see that? Mold. You can see how much I got out of it. It was just that little. I said, something's not right. Something is not right. As soon as I tasted it, but I thought it may have been what I put it on. I had it with some yogurt and some other fruit, and I thought, I used a different type of dessert mix that night, what I was doing. I thought it was something else, but I had an idea that it could have been this, and there you go. Now, this can happen to any food. I understand that. This definitely can happen to your canned goods if they're not sealed correctly, if they're not, if the jars aren't clean. This can happen to any food, okay? This will happen to y'all if it hadn't happened before. This is changing my mind about buying food and prepping with that. I think you need to have food on the shelf, but guys, this right here is unacceptable for a new jar of applesauce with an expiration date 2 years from now, or a year, okay? I think this is unacceptable, very unacceptable. And what makes it sadder is all the stuff that goes into this to preserve it, and it still does this. So how bad is it really? That's the kicker there. We don't know what we're consuming. We can't see it. So when we see it, we get grossed out, okay? We think, oh, you know, I don't want that. Of course I wouldn't be eating this right now. But if you can't see it and it tastes fine, then you think it's okay. A lot of times it's not, okay? So I am going to make a push. I'm gonna set that back down. I am making a push to tell you this. I think we need to have food on the shelf. I think we need to have that prepared. First and foremost, you need to know how to grow your own food. First and foremost. But my push to you guys is, I've told you can go buy stuff cheap at the store. I'm gonna admit, like, hey, you can, but hey, maybe don't take my advice on that anymore. Maybe my advice is changing. Maybe you need to have your own food put up on the shelf, your own that you grew. And it's so hard, especially for us with fruit. We don't have any fruit producing right now. We've got blueberry bushes. They're very, very low in quantity, okay? Very low as far as production. We've got fruit trees. They're not producing yet. This is going to take a long time, and you want some kind of sugar on the shelf. Always, for any kind of disaster, any kind of prepper, you'll want a sugary substance, either pure sugar or something with sugar in it. I understand. It's hard to get that if you don't have a fruit orchard, or if you don't grow sugar cane to have some kind of sugar, or beehives and honey. You know, it's hard to do that. So I want you to think long and hard about it in ways that we can overcome this, because this is unacceptable. This is totally unacceptable. When you see it put in front of your face, just like that mold, you realize what we're consuming is not good nutritional stuff. It's a lot of filler. It's a lot of garbage. It spoils, and that makes me mad. It makes me really mad, because of all the stuff that's in it that we don't know if it's okay or not, but we're told it's okay as far as preservatives, and it still does that. That to me is an eye-opener that I think we all need to look at and understand. So, as far as prepping, learn how to can safely. You need to learn how to pressure can and water bath. You need to get a food dehydrator and learn how to use that. That will save space. You need to learn how to freeze. Freezers, we have deep freezers. That is huge. And make everything you can by hand. Guys, I'm doing a push for that, and it's hard. I'll be the first to tell you. We make a lot of our own food, but a lot of days, like today, I just don't have time. Outside of this video, this is the only break I've had today. I don't have time. So it's a push and a struggle, and it gets, I'm gonna admit, it gets aggravating doing everything by hand, especially when you know something convenient sitting right there on the shelf in the store and you can go buy it. It gets tough to do that. If we knew there was no other option, it might ease the blow a little bit, but it's still very hard to cook by hand with everything that you have. We have no other way to get flour but store-bought flour. That's all we use, okay? We could buy different kinds online, but what's in flour? Even if you're making this stuff by hand, we need to look for a different option. So I want to hear your guys' opinions and what you think about the food industry, because this has been weighing on me lately. It's been pressing on me. This is why I say grow, 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 but learn what to do with your own food once you grow it. Don't let it go to waste, okay? Because again, what we're eating, this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. We don't know what's in it. We're going to do a push for that. I'm going to look up some of these ingredients. I'm going to try to do these videos. I hope all will go well. All will be okay with the videos. And try to tell you some of the ingredients and what it actually is. But once I heard about the human hair in bread, or, you know, it could be as filler, or that was rumored, that is very, very eye-opening. Again, you can go eat it all day long, but once you hear something like that, you don't really want it anymore, or you're very concerned. We need to know what's true and what's not, and we need to do some digging and investigating and actually see what's in our food. You would not come out here to a garden or the woods and pick a plant and just eat it. You wouldn't do that. You would think that it might be poisonous. If you just start grabbing plants, foraging is hard, guys. It's very hard, and you have to understand what's safe and what's not. So you wouldn't go out here and just grab up something and consume it. You wouldn't grab up weeds in your garden if you had a beautiful squash there. You've got to understand what's good and what's bad for you. We don't know with what we're eating. We're just getting thrown all this together, and we're being told it's okay, but we don't know. Do you know what's in your food? Next, I want to recommend this video. I'm going to put it in the link of this description. I ran up on it the other night while I'm talking about food, and it is called the Wartime Kitchen and Garden Series. You guys, I beg of you to watch this. This is like what I would call the British Foxfire. If you know anything about Foxfire, it's like old ways, preserving, canning, doing things the old manual, old-fashioned way in Appalachia. This is in England. And I think it was produced in 1993 when I looked it up. This guy that uploaded it, it's not his, but he just uploaded it. So I'm going to put that link there. It's not him that did it. It's just on his channel. That's where I found it. It popped up in my news feed the other night, and I watched it. And I've watched the entire thing. It is excellent. It talks about when Britain was invaded by Germany, and it gives a lot of music, and it does a lot of historical stuff. It's hard to watch all in one setting. It's over 3 hours, but they follow around several people. And they talk about how they survived during rationing in England. They had to take in a lot of family members. The things that struck the most with me is, A, they didn't know what to do. They were already in pretty much the Great Depression, just like we were. Times were hard. Things got worse, and they were doing all they could to survive and make ends meet, and so much food and all went towards the war effort that they didn't have any at home. A lot of things here were rationed. We had ration books, things like that. Sugar, coffee, rubber, things of that nature during World War II. Where is this in school? Where is this in school? Because there's a lesson to be learned that food will be taken away and shunted towards an effort like that, okay? Where is that lesson? And I remember in school, we knew about World War II, but we didn't know about the exact details and how hard it was for those people overseas, or even right here on our own home turf. We were taught what military action happened. We weren't taught how things were in daily life and how they were using every little piece of meat that they got because they had no meat. And that's all they could legally buy. And then there came the black market, people getting extra meat and then selling it for a higher price. So there was no goods on the shelf. They were not allowed legally to get any more than they were rationed. This happened right here too, guys. And then, I mean, it was literally a day's wages for a loaf of bread. It was so expensive. Now here in the U.S., they put a cap on it, from what I understand, and they had an act, I think it was called the OPA Act, where you could not overcharge somebody for a certain good, or you could overcharge them, but only to a certain cap-off limit. So, but I thought it was very, very, very interesting. It showed the woman canning, old-fashioned, and I personally wouldn't do what she's doing, but there was so many things. They said that the U.S. was like the hero for the population of England because we brought one thing to them, one thing during the war: seeds, so they could plant their own gardens. Guys, this is why I tell you to grow your own food. If you're concerned about times right now, you need to be doing this every day. And that's what's so hard, because yet again, if you go stock up on food, then you've got this to contend with. We've got to find a solution to grow more of our own food and have healthier, nutritious food instead of going and buying this and stocking up 10 of these on the shelf to have food. I'm still going to buy processed food. I am. I've got no way not to do that. But I am going to limit what I am buying. I'm going to increase what I'm growing, and I'm going to make more handmade. To me, it's better if you just have just a few preservatives in something than 100 if you're using 100 different ingredients with preservatives all in them. If that makes any sense, I think the load would be less in the amount. We've got to come up with solutions. That's where I need your guys' help, and I'm giving you a warning. This is ridiculous, okay? Also with that, this was an eye-opener from this documentary. They said that the seeds that we brought over, it was great. It helped them because everybody had to grow. But England is a very wet climate, okay? So they've already got trouble growing right there. They grow things like parsnips, leeks, things like that, okay? We don't grow that down here in Alabama. We grow tomatoes, and they said a tomato was a rarity to get that in. And you look at what the British Empire had at that point in time and how many imports they could get in. All of their stuff was imported, but they weren't able to get it because A, what was going on in the seas with war and shipping goods. B, all the food had to go to the military. The woman said that one that they interviewed, she was mixing up a parsnip, I believe, and she was putting banana flavoring or something banana flavored in it. That way the children would think it was mashed up bananas. And it showed one admiral, and he did not even know how to open a banana. He said it had been so long. He didn't know what to do with it, really. And they kind of laughed, and he said, I've not had a banana in so long, because their imports were affected. Guys, this was 80 years ago, okay? 80-something years ago. This is not that far off, but we just think that everything's at our fingertips. History repeats itself. About the seeds, I thought it was so interesting because they said what we did bring over, a lot of it was useless though. Pure useless for them. That their growing season, that they could not grow sweet corn. They couldn't grow corn. They also said squash. They said they had never even seen a squash. They didn't understand that. They had no clue. What if we were solely dependent on seeds from other countries today only? No telling what we would get in here. They would grow something in Brazil totally different than what I would grow. My climate, and the U.S. has so many different climates in it. You think about that. That's serious. That is very, very serious. That's why I said you've got to learn to seed save. We're going to do more of that this year to preserve a way to get food. Also in the documentary, That's when fertilizer was introduced in England. They pushed the fertilizer to all the farmers and everybody that had a house that was gardening, because they were so desperate to have food and they knew the fertilizer would make it grow. That was a huge push in England during World War II. And also, they said that the potatoes that they grow, they're big on potatoes, and y'all know Irish potatoes. Ireland had huge potato crops. That they got blight, and they learned really quick that copper worked. Blight, fungus, copper against fungus. That's what I showed you last year on my tomato blight and the cure. Copper, 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 copper is so antifungal, okay? So that's wonderful in a garden setting. Trust me on that. So if you can muddle through the documentary, you need to break it up in pieces, but I highly encourage everybody to watch the Wartime Kitchen and Garden series. And they've got a wartime farm. I'm going to try to watch that too. It may be the same thing, I'm not sure, but I think it's different. But there's tons and tons and tons of information in that, and it's really eye-opening. Me growing up, the people that lived through World War II are not here anymore, or either they were born in World War II, so they don't remember anything about it. Food here in the U.S., I think sugar was the last thing to not be rationed, and what I looked up said I think they quit rationing it either in 46 to 49, somewhere in there. It was way after the war. The day the war's over, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be rationed anymore. And people had to make do. And they said that in the documentary. They said, this is where we learned how to make do with what we had, because we couldn't get it in. We could not. I'll post some more articles up under here that I saw last night. National Park Service, I think, put it up here, U.S. And people were limited on cars. You couldn't get tires. You couldn't get cars. And at one point, they even halted production of bicycles. It was so serious to get this equipment to the military. What if you couldn't go buy a car tomorrow? We just think we can go out and do. We have been raised in an era where we don't understand. And my fear is that era is coming full circle, okay? It's coming full circle. A couple of years ago should have awakened everybody to this, and you ought to understand that, hey, this is serious times, okay? Stuff's not on the shelf. The prices went up. It's kind of looking like that back then, okay? 80-something years ago. It's really looking like that, and then you throw in other factors about what's on the horizon that we're going to be facing. And what is left on the shelf is stuff like this, okay, that you visibly can see is ruined, okay? Much less what we can't see. That's the enemy, what we can't see. This is unacceptable. We've got to do better. We have got to do better. So guys, warning. Please listen to me. Get all the knowledge you can. I did a YouTube short last night on free seed catalogs. Sign up for the things, okay? Get them sent to your mailbox. It's knowledge. They tell you what climates certain things like, what this, what that, what this, what that. You don't even have to order, okay? I get catalogs from all over the U.S., everything that's free. I get all these chicken hatchery catalogs. I can gauge the price of how things are running. If you have a small farm business, that would be very, very wise for you, okay? If you sell anything. That way you can see how comparable this stuff is, like the price of a day-old Wyandotte chick, okay? If you're doing something, that's how you stay in the know and current. You don't want to be selling 10 times the price of what your hatchery's selling, okay? If you want business, you need to be competitive and see the price and be kind of on the same scale. Also, they tell you so much knowledge about these plants. There's tidbits of information thrown all in the magazine to keep you informed. With the garden magazines, there's tree magazines. It tells you what kind of trees do what and what lives. That can help you in your own yard, okay? You don't have to buy. You can just learn. So sign up for every free catalog. Google it. Put your name and address in, and they'll probably send it to you next year, okay? Wilhite is one of my favorites. We got Park Seed. Now I've ordered from Wilhite Seed Company before. We've got a ton of stuff, and I get it for knowledge. I put it back in my library, okay? That's what I've got to look on for future. I've got that. I've got the Foxfire stuff. Also, last but not least, because I'm all about being proactive and what we can do to change the stuff. Planting by the signs. I've talked about this. We've done it. It's doing much better than I thought it would, okay? This stuff was started from seed on a good sign, and this stuff was planted on a good sign in the ground, okay? moon waxing, things like that. I've done a video on that. I can't even remember half of it. I have to go check because it's so comprehensive. So that's why I'm not trying to get you to watch the video. I'm just saying for a reference. I had to watch the video myself I made to go understand this, okay? On which day what means what. So go watch the video if you have questions about that. Doing things that work better for the environment around you, doing things that work with your land better, making your land work for you. We've got to do better. So we're going to start doing more, even more by hand, okay? By hand in the kitchen. We already preserve by canning, dehydrating, and freezing. Maybe instead of running out of bread, if you're on a bread kick, make a lot of bread, freeze it. Things like that, we're going to have to change, okay? Again, because this is unacceptable. So let me know your thoughts below. Please check out the documentary. I'll link it in the description of this video. It is excellent. It's long, and there's a lot of war type stuff in there, music. If you're a history buff, you'll love it. If you're not a documentary person, you will hate it, but there are tons of information, tidbits, gold nuggets all through that video that can help you. And if you get a kick out of Foxfire, I know you'll love it because that's exactly what it is. So check that out. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this, and what you think about some of the ingredients in the food and how the food is and what we can do to be proactive to combat this, because that's really the problem that we all face while prepping and putting food back, but yet not buying from the store. That's hard for most people, okay? That's very, very hard. You got two sides of the spectrum. All right, guys, I got a lot of things to do. So that's it today, and I will see you guys next time on Harmon Homestead. Thank y'all for watching.